Hello. Egypt is still getting to grips with the effects of the January the 25th revolution, part of the Arab uprising which continues to shake the region. A referendum on constitutional changes has paved the way for parliamentary elections to be held in September, and Egypt currently is ruled by a military council. The transition is getting a lot of international attention, particularly because it is threatened by a looming economic crisis. Many countries, from the United States to Saudi Arabia, are rushing in with assistance. Well, here to discuss the impact of the revolution on Egypt's economy is the FT's Middle East editor, Roula Khalaf. Well, Roula, let's begin with the big picture. Why are people so concerned? Because before this revolution, Egypt was bumbling along very happily at 5% growth.
I think there is an international consensus that this political transition to democracy could be derailed if the economy doesn't pick up. What's happened in Egypt is there's been an economic paralysis during the revolution and in the post-revolutionary period. The economy is not growing. There's going to be a contraction in the coming year. Foreign exchange reserves are being depleted, and there's a lot of international attention today because everyone wants this to work. And therefore, from the G8, IMF, World Bank, the US, Saudi Arabia, everyone is coming in with a package of assistance.
And everybody's talking about it, as they will be this weekend. Well, earlier, the finance minister, Samir Radwan, told the FT the scale of the losses being felt in the crucial sectors.
Tourism sector has gone down tremendously. It's picking up slightly now, but we are losing about $1 billion a month. In terms of industrial production, we are down to 50% capacity.
Samir Radwan, the Egyptian finance minister. Well, Roula, tourism is understandable, but why is industrial production running at only half of its capacity?
Because the revolution allowed people to discover that they can change things. And so there's been a massive rush of protests, industrial protests, people wanting to change managers in their companies, a lot of people demanding higher pay, other people demanding jobs. And so that has combined with a sense of insecurity because the police is not really functioning very well right now. It was accused of a lot of brutality, well, in the past, but also during the revolution, and it has not really returned to the streets. So I think the combination of these two factors are not allowing industrial production to pick up again.
A tremendous loss of respect for the police. Well, unsurprising, all of that is depressing business sentiment, and the FT spoke to Magdi Tolba, who owns a large clothing company with big brand customers abroad like Macy's, Levi's and Gap.
Problems with everyone, problems with workers, performance and stability and the time, problems with clients. Clients, we do feel, that they're afraid from any non-stability for their deliveries, so they tried not to have the risk by moving some capacities out of Egypt. Third thing, I'm scared as well from the management, because I was expecting changing a lot of laws and regulations, which nowadays it's almost 4 months, I don't see any changes.
Well, Mr. Tolba says that he was expecting to double his contract with Macy's from $10 million last year to $20 million this year. But he now thinks he'll be lucky to get $6 million as Macy's moves work outside Egypt. Well, Roula, that really does rather put the brakes on investment in Egypt. And the business elite is worried about the repercussions from the Mubarak era.
Well, since the revolution, there have been a lot of cases brought against officials from the former regime, but also the business elite, who were very linked to some of the members of the regime and are accused now of corruption. And because nobody sees an end to this, and some people are worried that this is turning into a witch hunt, confidence is down, but also investors don't really know when it will be safe to go back into Egypt. We're talking about local investors, but also foreign investors.
Well, I suppose the question now is how all this is going to develop. We spoke to an economist who sees things very much in two halves.
Potential for Egypt is to become the next South Africa, the next Turkey. I see all the ingredients there. So the outlook for the long term, I'm quite positive. The short term, obviously, there's a big question mark, because whenever you say short term, then you mean the next year. If it extends beyond a year, it becomes more painful. We do believe that there's going to be some contraction in the economy this year, and we have estimated this a couple of months ago to be around 3%, and we still believe that the economy will shrink by that much. But there is today more danger or more concern around the currency, and we see some weakness in the currency, but if reserves go on being depleted at this rate, then perhaps the weakness in the currency would exceed maybe the 5 or 6% that we're estimating.
So, Mr. Ziada, raising the foreign exchange reserves problem that you were referring to earlier, how is this macro picture being reflected on the ground? The Financial Times travelled to Upper Egypt, into the agricultural heartland of the country.
الحالة واقفة، الحالة الاقتصادية واقفة. ما فيش هدوء في البلد وما فيش استقرار في البلد.
المصرية حاليا دلوقتي شغالة، يعني عايزة تشوف الشعب المصري اللي عايز يشتغل، يستثمر في يصدر، يعمل أي مشروع في مصر، بتديله، يعني هو لو هو محتاج إيه هتديله اللي هو عايزه.
And in Cairo, on the tourist trail, we went to the bazaar, but unfortunately there were no visitors, or barely any at all. And in fact, the traders there were telling us that numbers of tourists have dropped dramatically.
Like 10%, 20%, like this.
Really?
Really, because we have some problem, so much in Egypt. And Christian people in very danger right now. But now it's better. I think now it's better. After like 1 month, it's better, because the customer come here because they want to see some people you won't see.
So, really, some crumbs of comfort there at the end of that interview with the trader. But is this optimism just wishful thinking?
I think there's no doubt that in the long term, Egypt is going to have a much stronger, much healthier economy. With the rule of law, accountability, transparency, I think there'll be a lot more foreign investment and a lot more vigor, even domestically. But in the short term, this is going to be extremely painful.
So a lot more energy in Egypt. Well, fascinating to talk to you, Roula. Thank you very much indeed. Egypt in Transition. If you'd like to see the full interview with Samir Radwan, you can have a look at ft.com/Radwan. But that's all from us for now. Goodbye.